I want to be able to win a WOC gold medal. I don't want stable top 10 performances. It's kind of easy for me when I have such high expectation that that I'm the one who's putting the pressure on myself. As a young runner, I would definitely recommend trying to seek different types of terrains. People get surprised at how much chocolate I eat every day. I don't always think that training is fun, but I'm always able to get out the door and do it. I don't play any sorts of video games at all. Some catching features maybe.
Before we continue with this video, I just want to make a short stop over here and mention that from the beginning of 2023 I'm launching a program during which I will be showing you how to get better at orienteering step by step with detailed explanation of everything. So if this is something that sparks your joy and you want to join the tribe of like-minded people, then check the description of this video, search for Orienteering Academy, and all the details will be hidden under the link available over there. So hopefully many of you will still consider joining, and if money is the problem, then just let me know, we will figure something out. By the way, I will be giving away some free spots for the Orienteering Academy, so if you want to have a chance to get this kind of free ticket, then just comment on this video and you will be included in the poll from which I will pick the lucky winners. And now back to the video. Hello everybody. Today we're talking with Kasper Fosser, the winner of the ranking 2023, also multi-medalist from both junior years in his career and also senior class. So an amazing person overall. And if this is your first time, this is a channel about orienteering. We're talking about running with the map and the compass, and we're trying to educate and have a lot of fun along the way. So if you're here for the first time, please enjoy the ride. And hello, Kasper. So nice to meet you, and thanks for joining.
Hello, Tomasz. Thanks for having me.
All right. So I got lots of requests from different people to bring you to the channel. And you knew this already because I've mentioned it previously when we were talking together with Simona doing the analysis. So that's why already over there I asked if you will be able to come back again and talk, because many people really want to see you a little bit deeper, I would say, know more about you, because you are a great example of how you can do great in the junior years, then switch to the elite class, and then perform very well in the elite almost immediately. And lots of people are wondering, okay, how did he do that? Can I replicate this? So that's probably one thing. And another thing is just, it's an amazing feat. And I think lots of people just admire your physical performance, your technical performance, and how well you're doing in orienteering overall. So I usually abstain from big words, but I think you are an idol to many of the especially younger runners. So that's why I think this is going to be a really interesting chat for lots of people all around the world. All right, I wanted to start from the beginning. So how did you start with orienteering? And at what age, or what do you remember from, do you remember your first competition? How do you remember it?
Yeah, I can't remember my first competition. I think I've been to different orienteering events with my grandfather since I was quite young. And then in Norway you have these marked courses that you can do when you're a small kid, and then that went from there to doing some trainings with my grandfather in the forest where he followed me, and then some races probably when I was around 8, 9. I would say that's the period when I started doing orienteering, joined the trainings with the club and went to races. Yeah, so it's
that's not super soon.
No, it's
I'm guessing that Simona started earlier.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. No, it's 8, 9. Yeah, it's quite a normal time to start.
I would say so as well. When we are doing the recruitment for our sports club, we usually bring kids that are like 8 years old the soonest. It's hard to work with the younger ones if you're not the parent.
Yeah, all right.
And from what you're saying, actually, this is interesting. So I usually Google people that I'm going to talk with on this channel, and your Wikipedia page, it deserves better, I would say. There's not much detail over that. But from the information I was able to find online, I saw that your grandpa is into orienteering. But I didn't find anything about your parents. So how is it with your parents? And I'll just turn the light over there. You can talk.
Yeah. So it's really only me and my grandfather who's been doing orienteering in my family. He's been trying to get his kids to start orienteering when they were young, and also all his grandkids. He has all the grandkids, but he's only gotten lucky with me. So it's mostly been me and my grandfather. Of course, the rest of the family has been to some orienteering competitions from time to time. For example, O-ring in some summers. And lately, my parents have been more active with doing some races themselves as well. But from the beginning, it was mostly just me and my grandfather. So
all right. So he's the driving force.
Yeah, for sure. So for those who don't know, Per Fosser is my grandfather, and he's a world champion in the relay from, I think it was 1970
Nice.
in Germany, I guess. So I'm quite lucky, or really lucky, to have had him when I was young. To like, he drove from Mysen, that's 1 hour away from Oslo, where I lived, and picked me up, and then went to orienteering competitions just to bring me to races and trainings, and so he's the reason I began doing orienteering.
Awesome. Nice to have a grandpa like that.
Yeah.
All right. Last time we talked, you said that we're always fast, and your problem actually with running with the map was that you were getting lost quite a lot at the beginning because you just wanted to get as fast as possible to the next control. And I also, because several videos ago, I talked about modulating speed during the race. And I think that actually the best approach for the runners to learn how to run faster with the map is to slow down at the beginning, get the hang of the map, and then start slowly, progressively speeding up, so that it's not a shock, which actually happens, and many runners experience it during their career. So, for example, imagine that you're running at a certain pace, and then suddenly you decide to start training a little bit more seriously, and you put a lot of effort into the training regime. You get better during the winter season, let's say. That's how it happens here. And then when the map races start towards the spring, you suddenly realize that you're running worse than you were running the previous season. And it's not because your physical shape is worse. It is actually a lot better, but that's the problem. It is better. Therefore, it's hard to catch up with orienteering skills, of course, without putting enough effort into it. But you said that you rather learned the O skills without trying to slow down. So how did you approach this?
Yeah, so I think I've always imagined like the perfect race. I've always had like the goal to do the perfect race with no time loss, full speed, no mistakes. So I've never quite allowed myself to slow down to be able to read the map and to find the controls in the best way. I've always kind of tried to run as fast as possible throughout the course, and then there's of course been a lot of mistakes when I've been younger, but yeah, the goal has always been to do the perfect race. So I always thought that those seconds I need to slow down to take the control in a safe way, that those are seconds that I can't afford, because I want to do orienteering in the best way and the fastest way possible, and every second counts. That's kind of my thought process back then, and yeah, still most plays.
All right. But how did the learning process go along with it? So I can understand the thinking, but at the same time, you need to grow your orienteering skills somehow, right? So what was it? What would you say it was? Was it like a conscious work or subconscious work? Just attending the competitions, trying hard, and eventually you've made progress. Eventually it clicked, and eventually you got better. Or was it rather the first one? Was what I mean is conscious progress means that you're really sitting down and trying to figure out, okay, so this didn't work. What do I need to do better next time so that I don't have to slow down and I can keep my pace? How do I read the map? What do I get out of my orienteering skills or stuff? What do I add to it?
Yeah, I think it's mostly been subconscious. Like I've been doing races, like the races when I was young are definitely the like sessions that have been the most important to develop my skills. So I did a lot of races and not too much trainings beside the races, but like the races where I really felt like I managed to get better and to improve my skills from weekend to weekend.
When you say a lot of races, what does that mean? How many times a week do you think you were attending the competitions? Was it just weekends, or do you have also competitions during the weekdays?
I think maybe the like April, spring is maybe when I had the most competitions. Yeah, or also summer. Okay, I had a lot of competitions all year. I think some years I averaged 3 competitions a week for the entire spring and summer. So I did a lot of races. It was a lot of I think most of my hard sessions when I was, let's say, 13, 14, 15 years old were competitions. So yeah, that was a really big part of my training.
All right. So you're just talented and you developed through through running the competitions.
Yeah, I would say that uh, like the biggest technical gains I had that period was probably like from being able to race that I've done the last weekend and then managed to like turn my settings to something else and like get even better the next weekend. It's kind of like trying to get in the zone, in the good zone where you find the controls and everything just goes by itself. That's kind of the feeling I've been seeking. So it's like a mental state that I've been trying to get into every weekend. And some races I managed to really be focused and really be in that right mental state, and some other weekends I didn't manage it. And then
right,
the process was always trying to seek that feeling and that flow in my racing.
Yeah, I think that this is in general a good approach. Basically, the best performance is when you are able to get into the flow. So yeah, seeking it is definitely something that helps. All right. What's the recipe for success in orienteering, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think if you think like from youth age to senior level, I would say that or at least my way of approaching it has been to focus primarily on the physical skills from a young age. Like step one is to be able to run fast enough to win WOC, basically. So first I have to get there, and then once I'm there, I can start worrying about the technical skills. That's kind of been my thought process about it. So I think every young runner should have physical training in mind first, and then once they have that in place, then they can give more focus to the technical training. Of course, you can focus on both things simultaneously, but the physical part is really where I've put the shoe down.
Yeah, I kind of get it, because if in your mind you want to be aiming for the top results, right, the medals, the gold medals on the world champs, there is no getting there without a certain level of physical skills. That it's really hard to compromise there, right? And you might be a great orienteer when it comes to reading the map, but if you're not fast enough, there's just no place at the top for you. That's just how it is. You might get away with it in younger classes. So when you're 12 years old, 14 years old, sometimes even 16 years old, your technique might be lacking a little bit. Or actually your physical shape might be lacking a little bit. But if you're very good technically and the terrain is difficult, so that it slows down everybody else as well, and you not so much, then you can still reach for the top. But I think that above men and women 16, it becomes really the race of both physical preparation and skill preparation. So this is what you're saying, right? Focus on the physical preparation because you will need it anyway. And you can't get to that gold medal shape in a year or two. It requires several seasons of preparations and training your body and getting you ready for all the hard training it's going to get.
Yeah, right. So I kind of thought like, if you're really good technically, but you don't have the physical abilities, you don't have a chance to win. But if you have the physical ability, then at least you have a chance to be the best. So that's kind of been my idea that if you're physically strong enough, at least you have a chance. And then True. Sometimes it goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't. But you could say that I'm like searching for that top performance, like the perfect race. It's kind of the goal. And if you're not at top level physically, then you can't achieve the perfect race. So that's kind of the idea. I want to be able to win a WOC gold medal. I don't want to be I don't want stable top 10 performances. I want the top result. So it's better to have, or I would rather have one WOC gold than to have 20 top 10 performances at WOC.
Sure. Personally, I would agree. So I have a kind of similar level of competitiveness. I like the approach. It's kind of simple, but at the same time, you can't say that it's not logical. It's basically what needs to happen. All right. So who is your sport idol? Do you have one?
Yeah, so I've had several. Of course, there's a lot of endurance talents in Norway that I looked up to. Lately, the Ingebrigtsens especially.
Yeah.
I've been inspired a lot from the training approach and that way of thinking training that they use. And also in my younger years, I was really inspired by JWOC, as most runners were, I guess. So I've been analyzing his training diary on Attack Point. That he, I think it was 1 year he had a training diary there, and really been trying to. Of course, you want to learn from the best, so really been looking for information about what the best orienteers and what the best endurance athletes do in their training to get better.
Right. Are you watching the YouTube channel for Ingebrigtsen brothers?
Yeah, I think I watched everything. Yeah. Of course, you don't get much of the training.
But for the spectator view, right? It's really well done. I like it as well.
That's true.
Okay, perfect. Next one. Do you feel pressure of being an idol yourself for the younger runners? Does it get to your head? Does it mess up with your starting performance?
No, I don't think so. Like in regards to race day, for example, I don't feel a lot of pressure from outside. I think most of the pressure is from myself. And I think that's a good way of that's a good way of approaching a race, to have the pressure coming from within and not from the surroundings.
I agree. But the difficult question is how to do that.
Yeah, that's true. No, but I think no one has higher expectations of me than I do. So it's kind of easy for me when I have such high expectation that that I'm the one who's putting the pressure on myself.
That's true. That's very, very well put. Because if you have the highest expectation for yourself than anyone else, then yeah, the pressure will be coming from you, from the inside of your brain. Therefore, it's a good one. It's a good one. So you're saying it doesn't bother you that you watched all the time when you're somewhere in the arena. I mean, there is an athlete's zone usually during more important races, right? So you have some privacy, so to say. But other than that, lots of people are looking up to you. So you're always being glanced at by many people, probably at the same time.
Yeah. Of course, it's like with regards to interviews and media and such. It's always that's probably where I'm more I get more nervous from that part than during the actual race. I know that I have to not say something stupid or do something stupid, because then people will notice. That's
Does it happen sometimes?
Yeah, of course it happens.
Did you say something you regret later on?
Yeah, or
do you remember something?
I remember an interview after World Cup in Idefjell last year, where there were Swedish broadcasters who were interviewing me, but it was for the Norwegian broadcast. So I since I live in Gothenburg, I know some Swedish words, so I tried to speak Swedish, but it didn't sound Swedish at all. So it just got embarrassing. So it was some type of Swedish Norwegian interview on Norwegian broadcast. That was
all right. What is your personality? Are you like rather, would you could describe yourself as a serious person or a goofy person when you're like off the camera, cozy environment?
Oof. I think I'm like if let's say on a training camp, for example, I think I would be I think I would be one of the more serious ones, but yeah, I think I'm a bit of both, or I hope I am a bit of both.
Okay, let's hope so. I mean, it's probably a good mixture, I would say. Does it happen that people come to you during the competition, for example, to take a photo? I guess it does, right?
Yeah, or yeah, of course it's yeah, on World Cup races it happens. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, how big of a celebrity, how to call it? I don't know. How big of a celebrity life very well known orienteers in our world have. I mean, we're not a huge community. It's not like football or other big sports. So it's probably not that annoying.
No, it's like just a few times a year where you really feel like a celebrity. But the rest of the year, I'm just a normal guy.
Okay, so it doesn't bother you when people come and ask for photos?
No, it's
you can
it's
go
really
and
fun.
ask him.
Yeah, go ahead. No, it's
all right.
It's quite cool, but it's of course kind of strange to be, or at least I feel like just a regular guy every day of the year, and then there's 1 or 2 days a year where suddenly it's suddenly it's something completely different. So it can be a bit overwhelming, but it's all fun.
All right, good. Let me see. How big of an impact on your career was your coach so far? How do you describe it? You probably work with the coach, right?
Yeah, so I've had like my main coach has been the same since I was 13 years old. He's called Eskil Gullor. He's from Oslo. So I've been working with him, since for almost 10 years now, and of course, an orienteering coach is usually not same kind of a coach as you would have in, let's say, track and field or swimming and such. It's more of an advisor, I would say, or a mentor, in a way. So what we've been working most on is like we've been having discussions about the different subjects, and we've been where he's been like more of like a mental support coach, in a way. Yeah. So so the way I see it, it's really good for an athlete to get a second opinion on things, to be able to get an opinion on your training from someone else than yourself, because it's easy to just go around and around in the same things and not be able to see the picture. So having a second opinion on things is really important, and that's where it's important to have a coach that can
Sure.
look at your training in a detailed and good way. Yeah.
Are you running your own training plans then, and your coach is giving you an opinion about them?
Yeah. I've always wanted to plan my own trainings, and yeah. So I want the training to be I want it to be my project, kind of. I want it to be my training. I want to own what I do. So for me, it's always been really important that I'm the one who's in charge of my training, and I'm the one who does the planning, and yeah.
So how is it for other people around you? Because I'm seeing like a common thing with many people that I'm talking with. Many people are saying that they write their own training plans, like Simona said as well. And then they have someone to review them and give the opinion. Is like the common thing in Scandinavia?
Yeah, it's quite common in Scandinavia, I would say. I think, especially in endurance sports like cross-country skiing and orienteering, especially. I think most athletes plan their own training, but they have coaches that are kind of advisors for them.
Interesting, very interesting.
And in orienteering, I would say that's a sport where that's like especially the case, because you have both the physical aspect and the technical aspect.
Yeah.
And it would be a lot of work for a coach to be able to plan the perfect training for an orienteering athlete.
True.
To both be able to make an athlete as good as possible physically and technically. That's not so easy. So I think it's harder to have that kind of coach in orienteering.
Yeah. So by a lot of work, you mean that the coach would also have to like draw the training sessions with the map, or is it like he will have to be very flexible because you would have to know exactly what happened, for example, during the forest phase, and it can go slow, it can go faster than expected, it can go slower than expected. You will never know, right? So then maybe later on you have to adjust the remaining training sessions. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, a bit, kind of. Like it's like the orienteering is such a complicated event, and there's so many factors that plays in. Like if you take track racing, for example, 5,000-meter racing, it's really, really simple. You have training, you can almost plan, make a training plan that you like, you know that the athlete will get really good by doing this. But in orienteering, it's not so easy. You have like the physical aspect is a lot more complicated in orienteering. There's different types of terrains and different types of physical skills you need, and you need a much larger skill set in orienteering physically than in, for example, track running.
True.
So not only is it really hard to create the perfect training, physical training for an orienteering athlete, but to also be able to make that athlete improve technical skills. It's it's not so easy. So I think you would either need a whole team of coaches to work with you, or you would have to think a lot on your own, and that's what most people have to do.
Right. So I'm guessing that you also have to educate yourself quite a lot
sure.
in the area of physical training and learn what is needed, how the cycles work, how much you can put yourself into the hard training zone, how long you have to rest later on. So have you been studying books in this area, or was it just like trial and error, see what works, what doesn't, and get to learn your own body?
Yeah, so if you only use the trial and error method to approach training, then it's possible to get enough results to be able to guide your training, because you're only one person and you only do 2 sessions a day, and it's not enough. So I rely most of my training on things I've read about and things I've thought about, and most of my training comes from things I've learned from the outside.
Okay, good. Very smart. I like it. And it's a big contrast compared to Poland, for example, because over here, I would say that a definite majority of at least youth is working on the plans that are coming from their coaches. Very, very few runners are actually making their own training plans. Yeah, and I already said on this channel probably at least on two different occasions that I actually prefer your approach. It's better for the athletes. All right, moving forward. How much do you rely on a compass while running? I'm asking about it because I'm probably going to record a video about how to use a compass properly. And I personally use the compass a lot as a runner. And I'm just wondering, what's your opinion on the compass? How often do you use it, and how do you use it? What are the most important places where the compass is absolutely necessary, and where maybe you don't really need to rely on a compass that much?
Yeah, so I think I use my compass quite differently compared to a lot of other runners. When I use my compass, I almost never aim for a point and then run that direction. It's more like every time I look at the map to study the details on the map, I also look at the compass needle and make sure that it's in the right angle, so that I'm running in the right direction. So instead of doing several long aims in the forest, I do a lot of short directions in a way. So I would say that my compass is more like a guide to something that I use as a second kind of control to make sure that I'm doing the right thing in the forest, that I'm running in the right direction, while most of the navigation comes from looking at details in the terrain.
Okay, yeah. So you're saying that you're navigating by the features of the map, and then you're using the compass just to make sure that you are going in the right direction to catch those features.
Yeah. So it's like a
supplementary.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I use the compass a lot, but it's just not solely as taking a direction in the forest. It's more like a control. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I absolutely think this is the right approach, because well, there are places where there is nothing on the leg for some part at least, and you have to rely on a compass only. In my area, you would find many legs like this. In Scandinavia, it's a lot different, because there is usually something going on along the leg. so you can catch even the small features, so that there is something to hang on to. But all in all, I think that going by the compass itself, it's actually quite funny because you can learn how to be better with the compass. But even if you feel a lot of confidence into your compass skills, still, if you have to go like 300, 400, 500 meters without catching anything on the map, just looking at the compass, every, like, let's say 10 meters that you go above like 100, 200 meters from your starting point, you start to get a little bit less confident, and your confidence level is just going down, 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 because you know that the farther away you go from your starting point, the more deviation from the direction might occur, right? And if you're not catching things along the way, you're not giving yourself this confidence boost. So yeah, I think that what you're doing is absolutely what I would recommend. And it basically means, sure, use the compass as often as possible, but rely on other things because they will give you certainty about where you are.
Yeah.
All right. Do you use social medias a lot? I'm asking because when we are communicating, you sometimes reply with several days of delay, which kind of makes me feel that maybe you're more focused on other things than your social medias, but at the same time you are present and you are putting some info on your Instagram, for example. So how do you use your social media, and what is the best way to follow you?
Yeah, so I'm not one of those who uses social media the most. That's
I suspected that.
for sure. I've at least tried the last years to be better at posting on Instagram, and yeah. So it's if you look back at what I did some years ago, it's at least a lot better than back then. So, but yeah, I mostly use Instagram, and I also have Strava where I post my training. I post almost all of my runs on Strava. So yeah, but like photos and news about me and such is yeah, it's basically only on Instagram, and there's not that many posts there. That's true.
Okay, yeah. So my feeling was correct. You're basically similar to myself. I just, I've started this project, and then Mati, who's doing it with me, helping with post production of the videos, he's like, we should run an Instagram channel. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. So he set it up, and we both post there sometimes. But yeah, I find it hard. I find it hard sometimes to go and post something that people will actually enjoy, because I feel like if I don't have anything important to say, maybe it's not worth people's time.
But
yeah, surprisingly, it usually is.
Yeah, I feel the same way. So I don't post too much stuff, and so it's also like on Instagram you need some nice photos to post as well, and
yeah,
I'm not one who takes a lot of photos, and it's hard for me to get media that I can actually use for Instagram.
Yeah, I've been searching. That we have the same problem, so we are usually searching for some good photos of the athletes as well. And I found out that the IOF Facebook page is usually a good source. They post the photos from the competitions over there, and usually you can find some good shots over there. That's what we do, at least. All right. I also have the bunch of questions with people following the channel, so I'll get into them then. The first one is from the organizers of O Festival in 2023, Østmarka, Oslo. They were clever enough to ask the question and let everybody know that there is an awesome competition 2022 in June around Oslo. And they are asking if you're attending. And my guess would be that you probably are, because there are 3 world ranking event races, unless it gets in the way of your preparation for some WOC competitions.
So I think the last time I was able to run Festival was back in 2019. I managed to run the sprint there. Since then, it's not been fitting my schedule. It's often right before WOC or something else.
That's what I thought. It is in June, right?
Yeah. So this year, I think I'm in Switzerland already by then. But I haven't made the final plans yet. So maybe I'll be able to attend the middle distance, for example. But yeah, we'll see. It's awesome terrain, so it will be sad to miss it.
Oh yeah. So the answer is we will see. Good. Then Joel is asking, what is the most important thing that helped you improve your orienteering capabilities?
Yeah, it's a tough question.
I know.
Yeah, it's very hard to
pinpoint one single thing, right?
Yeah, for sure. I would say doing a lot of competitions is probably probably where I've been had the most use. I think doing a lot of races or at least a lot of orienteering in high speed is important. I think when I look back at me as a youth runner or junior, I feel like it's through the competitions that I managed to improve, and then the trainings in between I didn't really manage to improve much. But it's it's like the competitions that I really managed to use to get better at my orienteering.
But I think that what's worth emphasizing is, guys, he lives in Norway. He's been running 3 times a week and on super high quality terrain. So that definitely contributes.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about myself, I'm living somewhere in central Poland. The terrain is mostly flat. You will not encounter almost any rocks in the terrain, not to mention rock walls. So even if I would go and train 3 times a week on the map, I would never be able to get to the level that the person doing the same in Norway, Sweden, or other places with very good terrains is able to achieve, right? So exposure to different kinds of terrains, difficult kinds of terrains, it's also a big factor here, I guess.
That's very important. And the way I think about technical training nowadays is that I try to I have a goal like WOC, for example, or a World Cup, and then my full focus that year is to be able to be as good as possible in exactly that type of terrain. So before WOC in Czech Republic last year, I didn't care at all how good I was in Sweden or Norway or anywhere else. I wanted to be as good as possible in Czech Republic. So I didn't do too much, or I did very little compared to my biggest competitors of orienteering in Norway or Sweden, or at home. But I did a lot of training camps in Czech Republic, and when I was in Czech Republic at training camps, I did a lot of orienteering. So when I'm in a relevant terrain, I do big chunks of orienteering and try to get as much experience as possible in exactly that terrain type. So I really feel like the last years I've been able to get extremely good technically in one type of terrain, and then I've seen that in other types of terrain I've not quite managed to be at the same level. For example, in Norwegian champs, as a fun fact, I've never won a senior Norwegian champs in the forest. I won one gold medal, and that's sprint. So that says something about how I prioritize my technical training.
It is a fun fact, yeah. But I want to add 2 things to this. So the first one is, in the younger years, it probably makes more sense to be more versatile with the training terrains, because you want to get experience from many different types of forests to be able to raise your level of interpretation of the forest features, so to say. There is actually going to be by the time this one is on the channel, we will already have a video about interpreting the features in the terrain, and I think this is a big factor. And the second thing I want to mention is that you're still young, so I think give it a few more years, and I think you will feel pretty confident in all kinds of terrains, because this is something that comes again with experience, and you've already experienced a lot, but I think you will get a lot better in adjusting to the terrains that you're running at, and it will take much less time than it does now.
Yeah, that's true. The more experience you have, the less it takes before you manage, or before you're able to handle the terrain well. So that's true, and you're absolutely right that as a young runner, I would definitely recommend trying to seek different types of terrains, and I've been really lucky there, that I've been able to travel a lot, and especially with my grandfather, he's been taking me out for races all over Europe, basically. So already as a youth runner, I had experienced a lot of different types of terrain, and I think if you're seeking to be a elite runner, then I think that's really important to have that experience.
Sure. All right. The second question from Yoel is, how much training do you do during the week, orienteering plus physical fitness, physical training?
Yeah, so as I said earlier,
the short answer is probably checking on Strava.
Yeah. But
we will link it in the description.
Yeah. As I said earlier, I do most of my orienteering training in training camps where I'm in relevant terrains for the next champs. So the training weeks look very different from when I'm home and on training camp in regards to the orienteering. When I'm at home, I usually do 2 sessions of orienteering a week, I would say. Throughout the year on those weeks where I'm at home. But I'm very often not home, and very often traveling on training camps, and there I do I have no problem with doing 2 sessions a week for almost all my orienteering almost all my sessions as orienteering for several weeks in a row.
Right, 2 sessions a day.
Yeah, that's no problem, as long as you're able to train as good as you want physically. Then I think you can do as much orienteering as you'd like. But when I'm at home, it's hard. One thing, it's hard to motivate myself to do a lot of orienteering in a terrain that I'm not trying to get better at, and also I want the physical training to be as similar as possible to the World Champs, and therefore running a lot of orienteering in Scandinavia is not always the perfect physical preparation. So
you mean because of the terrain and how it feels under your leg in the forest?
And the hills and the vegetation and so on. Yeah.
Sure. All right. Very nice. Next one is from Juha. If you could go anywhere in the world to orienteer, where would you go?
It's a tough question. There's still a lot of countries I haven't been able to orienteer in. France is one, for example. I've only done some sprint orienteering in France, so I'd very much like to go to some of the most intense terrains in France.
Me too.
Experience them. For example, WOC 2011.
Exactly.
Awesome. Yeah,
that's actually something that comes to my mind.
Yeah. That area is actually only 3 hours away from where Simona lives. So I think I'll go there in the spring and try to get a small training camp there. That would be that'd be cool, and also a bit relevant for the world champs in the middle next year, which is in a really detailed forest in Switzerland.
Sounds good. Let me know when you're going.
Yeah.
Maybe it will fit my calendar as well. All right, next one is from Marco. Can you earn enough to make a living just by doing orienteering?
Yeah, especially this year, I've been able to get some big sponsors, and I've earned it's not a lot, but it's enough to get around, and yeah, I managed to earn enough to not have any pressure to do studies or to work or anything. I can focus only on what I want.
Do your parents support you financially as well?
I'm sure they would if I was if I needed it. I'm sure they would. Yeah, I get a lot of support from the family, so yeah,
Right,
I think I would be able.
They would, and they probably did in the past, but now you don't need to.
Yeah, of course. When I lived at my parents, yeah, of course. But yeah, the last years I've been able to earn enough for myself to go on training camps and
Cool.
live the orienteering life.
Cool, congrats.
Nice.
Next one is from Wojtek. Something about food. So I guess he's more or less asking, what are your eating habits? What do you eat, and how do you approach maybe the last important meals before the competition?
Yeah. In general, I think a lot of people get surprised at how much chocolate I eat every day. Quite a lot. I eat a lot of food that's that contains a lot of energy. I'm a type of athlete that really needs to work hard to be able to eat enough. So my focus the last years have been on really trying to focus on getting enough energy in throughout the day. Then it doesn't matter what type of food it is, as long as I get my as long as I get the energy I need. I don't care if it's chocolate or a piece of bread or some pasta or
okay. So you're not too picky with what you're putting into your stomach.
No, or I would say, of course, I make sure that I get into my body what I need, every nutrient that I need. That's very important. But then, as long as I get what I need, I fill up the energy in every way.
How do you know what you need?
I take I take blood tests throughout the year, and yeah, it's not super hard to understand what I need. I need to eat some vegetables and some proteins and some
Do you take any pills with vitamins, microminerals, any hack foods?
Yeah, I've taken some supplements from time to time, but like in periods where I'm afraid that I don't get the vitamins and minerals I need, then I can take it. But mostly, I don't feel like I have the need to take any supplements.
All right. And your favorite meal before the competition?
So before race day, I think it's important to fill the stomach with as much energy as possible, and not so much of other stuff. So I try to stay away from, or like this is like the last 24 hours before a race. I try to stay away from food that has too much fiber, and I try to stay away from too much meat. Of course, it's good to have a little bit of everything, but I try to get as much carbohydrates as possible into my body. That's kind of the idea. So I choose light bread,
pasta.
Yeah, and pasta, and yeah, rice is good. Anything that contains a lot of carbohydrates, but not too much of other stuff. It's quite simple. You need
so
the
chocolate
carbohydrates
works as well.
Yeah, so chocolate works, but it's it's better for after the race than before the race, I would say.
Absolutely. And the breakfast right before the start?
It's quite normal. I eat bread for breakfast. Light bread, as light as possible, with chocolate or with jam. Yeah, it's quite normal.
Right.
Light bread, quite simple. Keep it simple. Not. Yeah.
All right. Hopefully, Wojtek, this has been enough. All right. Moving on. So the next one is, when did you start orienteering? But I think we've covered this earlier. So I'll skip it, and we will go to how important do you think control flow is to get a good result? I'm not sure exactly what the author means by control flow, but I think it's like the flow of the race, the way of picking the controls, avoiding mistakes, going smooth sailing,
Yeah. I think it's really important, especially on the elite level, of course. In the junior class or in the youth class, it's more important that you hit the controls without too many mistakes and such, and it's not that important that you lose some seconds into the control, or that you stop to read the map an extra time. But in the top level, it's extremely important to have that flow, because if you don't have that orienteering flow where everything like goes smoothly, then you lose seconds everywhere along the way, and you can't afford that on that level. So that's that flow. It's kind of what I talked about earlier with like not wanting to break and to stop. I want to be able to orienteer in a way that I can run the same motion throughout the whole race. Like it's not stop and go. It's a smooth run all the way.
Yeah, I was going to ask exactly that. I think was it Daniel Hubman that popularized the stop and go saying? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it could be.
But he's definitely the one that's been using it, right? And I also got the feeling from the previous time we've talked that you're not really into it. You prefer to go smoothly and to avoid stopping at all if possible. And I think it creates this kind of a flow that lets you feel that you're progressing with the controls over and over, and as long as you're able to avoid major mistakes, it gives you this amazing feeling of confidence that, like, I think it's a little bit like running on codes, cheating almost, because it gives you this additional strength that is sometimes really hard to dig into when your race is not going that well, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
I like that.
I think that flow is, I think it's extremely important. I think it's one of my biggest strengths, that I'm able to be. You can use a lot of different terms for describing that flow or that efficiency, but I like to use the term orienteering efficiency. That means that how efficient are you at reading the map, and how efficient are you at the technical aspect of orienteering. Like, one way to describe it is if you have another runner who's as strong physically as me, and we both do a perfect race, I will still be half a minute ahead of him because I have a higher orienteering efficiency. I don't lose a lot of time when I read the map and orienteer. Yeah, so that's kind of yeah, it's easy to be only focused on time loss and mistakes, but the time loss you get from having to read the map and do orienteering and stopping here and there, that's also quite a significant time loss.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. I like the term efficiency, because when I'm doing the analysis with especially youth runners, the thing that I see very often is that they are not strict enough with themselves. You know what I mean? They come back from the race and they say it was pretty good, and I'm like, okay, how much mistake do you feel right now you've made? Maybe 2 or 3 minutes, right? And then we sit down, we do the analysis, and it turns out that it's 5 or 7, right? Somewhere in this range, because they don't see lots of mistakes that actually have happened, and I would contribute them very often to the efficiency of reading the map and going with the orienteering or of your orienteering style. You know, so sometimes it's just slowing down because you're not sure where you are exactly, and you need to slow down to read the map. Sometimes it might be not doing the right thing when it comes to the route choice, for example, right? But yeah, I always say that you have to be strict with your analysis if you want to get progressively better and reach to the highest level.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. How do you prepare for an important race?
Yeah, so we've talked a bit about it already.
Yes.
That I really valued the time I spend in relevant terrains before a big race. Extremely important for me. Also, just to have that confidence that I'm at the start line better prepared than anyone else. That's quite good confidence to have. And I also spend extremely big amounts of time on the computer or phone looking at old maps, route choices in the terrain. Yeah, I like to use WOC in Czech Republic last year as an example of a competition where I really spent a lot of time at home preparing. There with the COVID pandemic, it was difficult to travel to Czech Republic, so it was almost not possible to go there until the spring.
Yeah.
So beforehand, I had looked at orienteering headcam videos on YouTube from the terrain to kind of just not so much to like understand how to run in the terrain, but more how just to see how good is the runnability in the terrain, how good what does the forest look like, what does the greens look like. So already before I was on my first training in Czech Republic, I had an advantage of my fellow teammates because I had already kind of been in the terrain with all those videos and the preparations. And the second part of preparations is like looking at maps and looking at route choices. And in Czech Republic especially, it was like route choices was extremely important in the long distance terrain. So I spent a lot of time analyzing route choices, calculating climb and lengths, and getting like that sense of what is a good route choice, so that when I'm in the forest, I look at the map and I immediately see what is the quickest route choice, and that's almost just from being at home looking at route choices and analyzing.
Right.
Yeah. So the work I do before the big races at home is extremely important, I think.
Sure.
At least in some types of terrain. Yeah.
And I remember from our previous talk that one more thing that you do is you physically prepare also for the type of the terrain that you know you're going to have to fight against. during the most important races. So if it's hilly, you train to be strong at hills. If it's more flat, you train to be more speedy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds really logical, right? That
Yes.
You should train the way that or you should train the parts of your body that you need for the competition.
Yeah.
But even among elite orienteers, I think there's a lot who don't really do that at all. There's a lot of there's a lot of people who are not or there's a lot of runners that that have their training looking a very different way from the competition. But I think it's a really big advantage to train physically in a way that mirrors the competition. So, for example, in Czech Republic, I looked at courses and analysis, and I also knew what the ground looked like and everything. So I knew the strengths I needed for that terrain. For example, at the long distance, we knew that we would have, I think it was 1,000 meters to climb, a bit more than 1,000 meters to climb.
Mm-hmm.
And that equals that if you run 14 hours a week, you will have to do around 7,000 meters of climb a week.
Yeah,
and that's quite a lot.
a lot. Yes.
I didn't manage that myself. I think I had around 5,000 meters of climb a week when I did 14 hours a week.
It was still a lot.
Still a lot. And I also had the sprint competitions that I had
exactly
to
right. So but, I don't think you have to prepare like with every session for this one type of terrain, right?
Yeah, of course you have to prioritize your races. You have to know what you want to race. So if you have several races that are in different types of trains, then you have to train for both. But yeah, it's quite interesting that even I had quite a lot less climb in my weekly training than what was needed.
Mm-hmm.
But others had way less.
Yeah, super interesting approach.
Yeah, so we saw on the early training camps in Czech Republic in the spring, it was really clear that I was a lot better in the steep uphills compared to my my teammates. I think we saw on some trainings that it seemed to be about 10% the difference between me and the others in the steep uphills. And 10%, that's
huge.
That's in the WOC long distance, that would 10% on those steep climbs, that would be around 4 minutes on a long distance, which was about the time that I was ahead of them on the training sessions. So yeah, it was really clear that specific training had that was a big advantage to do that.
Awesome. I'll also take this opportunity to say to anyone interested that the Orienteering Academy that I've launched, that we are starting in January, is also going to help you prepare for those most important races next year. Not at a super professional level as Kasper is describing over here, because this requires more individual approach. But I will be showing you how to get better orienteering, how to do it faster, how to do it smarter. So if you're interested, there is a link in the description. You can check it out and join us possibly. Who knows? We already have quite a lot of people signed up, and I think it's going to be pretty interesting. Have you seen the Orienteering Academy project? I think I've sent it to you one day.
No, I haven't seen it. I don't think you should send it to me. I'll have a look.
Maybe I forgot. Oh, I probably posted it to the chat that we have together with Simona. So maybe you haven't checked it, but I think she saw it. Yeah, so basically it's a project where we are going to have 7 online calls, and this is like a workshop more than the lecture, where I want to give people like a framework for how to train in orienteering to get better. And this is aimed for not exactly the super beginners, because I think they will need a little bit less advanced stuff, but for people that already have a grasp of orienteering but want to get better and want to aim for one specific, maybe two specific competitions somewhere towards the middle of the year. I think this will be quite an interesting journey we're going to have together.
Sounds cool.
All right. Do you have these moments? This is a good one. I like this one. Do you have these moments when your mental and physical tiredness overlap and it's hard to find the motivation? How do you handle it?
Yeah, I think I have very few times during my my life I've felt the feeling that I don't want to train. That's almost that has almost never happened. Like so the physical part there, I've always been motivated to do physical sessions, I think. Yeah, that's
the opposite of me.
Also probably because I have a lot of injuries. I have big periods of the year where I'm not running, and then it's easy to be really motivated when I'm able to run.
Yeah.
So, but the technical part, I've definitely felt that sometimes that I'm like tired of map reading and orienteering and not able to really focus on the sessions, and yeah, that's a quite normal feeling. It often comes to me after big races like WOC, for example, or JWOC. Like I've never been able to run good at the Østmarka, for example, because it's right after some big race where I'm just mentally finished, and then yeah, it's impossible to be on edge with the technique.
Yeah, you kind of have to catch the breather after a very intense period of focus, right?
Yeah. So I feel that after every important race, that because I put so much mental energy into that race, that when it's done, I feel kind of finished, and it's hard to get back in that mental state that you need to do to do good orienteering. Because because I work so hard with myself before those races to be in that state, and then it's kind of
okay. But in general, you're saying that you don't have problems with motivation overall.
No, with physical training, I think almost never. No, I don't always think that training is fun, but I'm always able to get out the door and do it because I have those big goals that are coming up, and I know what needs to be done to achieve them, and then it's I don't really give myself the opportunity to choose not to do a training. It's
sure.
It's not an option, so it's easy to stay motivated for those trainings.
I like this short phrase. It's not an option.
Yeah.
What are your big goals, by the way, right now?
Yeah, right now it's WOC next year in Switzerland. That's the main goal next season. And then further ahead, it's hard to say. I want to see how good I can become as an orienteer, and I feel like I still have a lot to go on. So it's I really want to see how far I can take it. Yeah.
Cool. So it's like 1 year at a time, and your focus mostly is world champs.
Yeah, definitely world champs. I think World Cup overall is of course also important, but I think at the end of my career, it's the WOC medals that really count, and that's what I want to. That's where I want to be at my best and do well. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't care much about really any other races than WOC. It's if I can do just a little bit better at WOC, I would choose to just be shit at every other race.
Okay.
That's my.
They have a goal of being the most successful runner during the WOC races in the elite class in the senior career?
Next year or
no, overall? Like, are you thinking about the end of your career? Like, it would be awesome to beat Thierry.
Yeah, yeah, of course, that's the dream, but that's very far ahead.
It is, yeah.
I think, yeah, it would be really cool to be like be among the best orienteers ever. Yeah, like you can't. It's hard to you can't really say that you were the best orienteer ever, because that's kind of an opinion.
Yes.
It's not really a fact.
It's not measurable.
But I want to be in the discussion. That's for sure.
Nice, I like it.
But I think my biggest goal and what motivates me the most is like again that perfect race, to achieve that perfect race where I'm at my peak physical shape, and where I manage to run a perfect technical race. That's kind of the dream. I think if I have a race, a WOC race during my career where I can think back and like, yeah, that race was perfect, then I think I'll be satisfied with my career.
Nice. Awesome. Last one. Is it last one? I'm not sure. I think so. What's your favorite computer game?
Yeah, I was I did a lot of video games and computer games when I was younger. But once I started to get serious about orienteering, I completely gave all of that up. So I don't really play any. I don't play any sorts of video games at all. Some catching futures maybe from time to time if
I was hoping this would come up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
And
kind
also,
of betting that maybe it's the orienteering game.
yeah, I wouldn't really call it yeah, okay, it's a game, but it's not for fun. It's for practice.
Yeah, it is.
Also, another game I would like to give a shout out to is the root choice game, I think it's called. Yeah, before WOC sprint this year, I had an injury that made it really hard to do sprint orienteering training. So I did a lot of technical training like from home without running. So the root choice game was one game I played a lot, where you have to choose the shortest root choice between two routes, and then you get the results right away. So you get immediate feedback from what is shorter or what is slower.
Yeah.
So that game, I think, really helped me improve the route choice this decision before the sprint world champs this year. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you do in your free time then?
It's a lot of Netflix, a lot of just lying around, not doing much. Lately, I've been trying to take up my studies a bit again. So I've been doing some school now. But most of the time,
what's the subject of your studies?
It's health promotion with sports and nutrition. Yeah, and nutrition. But it's yeah, I've only done one course so far, so I'm no expert yet. But I hope to be able to do some studies beside running if I'm able to. But yeah, we'll see. I put my full focus on orienteering, and then if I'm able to do some school on the side without it affecting my training at all, then I'll do that. But yeah, we'll see.
I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad, but I will say that it's awesome because our sport needs people like you. All right, so that's everything I've had for today, and I hope it has been fun for everyone watching and for you, Kasper, as well. So thanks a lot for joining from my side, but also from everybody else that I'm sure will be watching it all the way to the end.
Thanks a lot for having me.